the Colorado Buffaloes had a tremendous season in 2024, but looking ahead to 2025, I see 3 games that they absolutely have to win. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsors over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. And thank you for making me your first listen of the day. Let's talk must win. Now, the college football season is pretty close, right? We're about 2 weeks-ish from starting, which means we need to know what's going to happen, right? We want to know which games are important, which games are not, which teams are good, which teams are not. And we also want to know who's the starting quarterback. And we also want to know all things college football rivalry. Well, guess what? I'm going to talk about all 3 of those things today, starting with which games are a must win for Colorado. So I posed the question on the app formerly known as Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, the app that Elon owns now. And it was a simple question. Which game on Colorado's schedule is a must win? And I got a variety of different answers, but there was 3 that I was looking for because I wanted to sort of I don't want to say crowdsource. That feels like I'm trying to give the work away, but I wanted to sort of research or do a little public survey about which games does Colorado need to win the most? Because I think there's a pretty clear answer. I think that you can look at it from multiple ways, like which games are going to be the most important on the schedule, which games have the biggest implications, which games do they have the most, or which teams do they have the most beef with. But I think I'm going to go one of each. I think I'm going to go hitter of which games are most important, which games do they have the most beef with, whatever. I think there's a category for each one, but these 3 are the ones that I think are the most important for either one of those reasons. So let's start off with the first game. Not only that I think is the most important, but the first game of the season. August 29th, Friday evening, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who I think are probably going to finish 3rd. This game will be on ESPN. Everyone's going to be watching. People are going to see this new look Colorado team. How do they look without Shedeur Sanders? How do they look without Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn, LeJonte Wester? Success based on 2 guys, or was it something that he could replicate? Was it something that can be put on the field again and be sustainable, right? And we're not going to learn that in 1 week, but if they lose, we already know how people treat Colorado in the media because it's Colorado. It's Deion Sanders, right? They want to be able to be like, you know what? I knew this Colorado team was fraudulent. I knew this program was fraudulent. I knew this team wasn't going to be it. So there's that. Georgia Tech. First of all, this is a sort of a signature win kind of game, right? Power 4 opponent, even though it's at home, they're going to be a really good team throughout the year. I think Georgia Tech is going to give a lot of teams in the ACC trouble. So if Colorado could beat them, right, you're starting off the season strong. You're also giving the Big 12 a boost, right? I talked about this yesterday, but the Big 12 has matchups against Auburn, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, plenty of other, Mississippi State, right? They have matchups against these Power 4 programs, and the Big 12's constant battle in college football is saying we are just as good as these other schools, right? But the problem is you have to prove that. You can't just say it, and then when you go head-to-head, you don't beat them, right? So this is sort of like a win for morale for Colorado, but it's also a win for the Big 12, right? Beating Georgia Tech not only gets Colorado off to a hot start on the year, but it also gives the Big 12 as a whole something to build off of. It gives the Big 12 as a whole bragging rights, or at least partial bragging rights over other conferences, because that's what they need to do to help lift up the brand as a whole and help boost their PR, right? The Big 12, we saw it in the AP poll, did not get the respect it deserved, but the Big 12 is sort of viewed as second class compared to the SEC and the Big 10. And the only way to erase that narrative is to start beating those teams. And same thing with the ACC as well. So I think you got to beat Georgia Tech. The next game where I'm circling this one, underlining it, highlighting it. I think you got to take advantage of, I limited myself by only giving myself 3, but it's really tough. I'm really circling at TCU. I don't know if TCU is going to be a ranked team. They were a team that's receiving votes, but I mean, there's a little bit of rivalry to me there, right? I think this is Colorado's kind of rival because it's what started the Deion Sanders era. And I don't think there's going to be a fan base or program that's more eager to beat Colorado than TCU, right? Because that sort of started like this whole chain of events for TCU where it was like they were the defending runner-ups. They won a playoff game. And then all of a sudden, Colorado comes to their place, beats them, and the trickle-down effect of that loss sort of, I mean, they weren't that good of a team in 2023, but it like culminated into them collapsing the rest of the way. And I think they're going to want to get revenge. It's obviously not the same team, but I think it's a tough road game, right? I would say it's one of Colorado's tougher road games on the year. If I had to rank Colorado's toughest road games, I'd probably go at Kansas State, at Utah, and then I'd put this one right there. I think TCU is a close second or third. I think you go 2A, 2B, but just the history with this program, right? I mean, this is where the Deion Sanders buzz started at the Power 4 level. And I think TCU wants revenge, and I think Colorado wants to show, like, hey, we will beat you again on the road again. And I think that would really fuel the fire. I also think TCU is probably one of the most slept-on teams in the country. I really like Josh Hoover at quarterback. So this leads me to my third game. I mean, really, that's uber important. Must win, like, cannot lose this, right? And I think when we hear must win, it's like there's a difference between which games do we want to win, which games do we have to win, and which games should we win. And when I hear must win, it's like if you don't win this game, it's kind of a failure, right? And I'm looking at BYU coming to Boulder on September 27th, right? Because you could go Arizona State or Kansas State to end the year, like those are must win, but are they really must win? The way people view those teams right now is that Colorado is not as good as them, right? We'll see in a couple months, like 3 months from now, if Colorado is on par with those teams or where they're at, or if those teams are even good. But are those must-win games or games we'd like to win, right? There's a difference there. I think BYU is as must-win as it gets, right? BYU is a team that, one, embarrassed Colorado in the Alamo Bowl, right? It ends the Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter era on a sour note. Again, embarrassed them in the Alamo Bowl. But it's a team that's probably going to be starting a true freshman in Bear Bachmeier or McKay Hillstead, who's a Utah State transfer that I'm not really impressed. Like, their quarterback situation is not great, right? BYU is ranked, I think they were a top 25 team. Yeah, they're a top 25 team. But I think of any of the Big 12 teams that were in the top 25, BYU is going to be the team that falls out the quickest, right? So this BYU team is not the same. That being said, they're still solid, right? They still have a really good defense. They still have Chase Roberts at receiver. They have LJ Martin at running back. They just need a quarterback who could be a game manager. So if Colorado can beat them, I think all bets are off for how good this Colorado team can be, because if you can't beat a BYU team that I think we could all agree is not going to be as good as last year, then I don't really know what to make of this team, right? And so I view these 3 games as must-win for Colorado because, one, and I'll go through them again, Georgia Tech, it starts the season off strong, and it also gives the Big 12 some bragging rights. BYU, and I'm not going in order here of the ones that, not going in order the way I said them, but BYU, you get revenge from last year. They embarrassed you. They ended a historic tenure for Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, and they're also not the same team, but they're sort of, they still are carrying that current, like people still view BYU kind of the same. And I think if Colorado could beat them, it's a good look for them, right? That could help them jump into the rankings. And then lastly, you look at that game against TCU. I think it's must win on the simple fact that you have a little bit of history with the Horned Frogs, right? They hate your guts. You embarrass them on their home field. You use that win to sort of catapult your otherworldly fame into the stratosphere. Like, after Colorado beat TCU, it was like ESPN Game Day, big noon kickoff. They were in Boulder every week. I mean, literally every week there was one of them, if not both. So Colorado has to win those games, right? I think you have to win those games. And I'll talk about, and I'll do this in the coming days, like which games should Colorado want to win or which games can Colorado pull off the upset, because I do think they upset a couple of ranked teams this year. But those are the 3 that stand out to me as must win. You guys comment below, which one do you think is must win? Doesn't have to be the ones I said. But let me know what you guys think, and we'll sort of gauge our thoughts on the matter. When we come back, I think Colorado has a clear-cut starting quarterback, and I'll show you all the details why. But first, quick break. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot to a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping, and that's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you could save up to 60% off with killer last-minute deals. If you're tired of endless scrolling to try to find the best deal, Game Time's zone deals pick the best seats in your section. With Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay, so there's no hidden fees. I like that because I don't like clicking a couple buttons and all of a sudden the price goes up a few $100. Don't love that, and that doesn't happen on Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So do me a favor, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, all that jazz. Let's talk quarterback battle. I've been saying it's going to happen pretty much all offseason, and I'm not going to pat myself on the back for predicting this because I think it was pretty obvious after the spring game. The quarterback situation. I think Julian Lewis has a ton of talent. I think Julian Lewis will probably be an all Big 12 Heisman contender type of guy for Colorado. I also saw Julian Lewis play, and I was like, I think he's 17 years old playing against grown men and college students. And I think while he can hang in there right now, I think there's room for him to grow. And I don't think him starting right away is a necessity when you bring in one of the best dual threats in the country in Kaidon Salter. And I think my suspicions have been confirmed the other day. And I think there's two ways to really tell this. One, and I'm not going to play the whole videos, and I'll just sort of describe them to you. But Well Off Media posted a video, and there was a throw from Kaidon Salter, and Coach Prime was really gassing him up, right? And they included that. And the thing about, I think, Well Off Media is great coverage, right? They're very, I don't want to say cryptic, but I feel like they're very selective in what they post, and not a bad way. I just think that they post what they want you to know, and they keep what they don't want you to know. And I think what that post showing is Deion Sanders being excited for Kaidon Salter. I think that shows Deion Sanders being like supporting Kaidon Salter. I think that shows Deion Sanders maybe picking a starting quarterback or in the process of it, because with Deion Sanders out of commission for the past few months, right? He hasn't been able to see the quarterback battle firsthand. And although they were on a break, right, you still being there, he just wasn't able to be around the program, right? So he doesn't get the vibes. Now that he's back in Boulder, he's watching them practice side by side. He's seeing how the team reacts to them, and he's seeing what works and what doesn't. And I really think that's a big deal for him. And so, one, there's that. Two, I was listening to the guys over at DNVR. They did an interview with Neely, and they basically were like, hey, do you think there's separation? And Neely was like, yeah, there are, and this is me paraphrasing, there is separation, right? Kaidon Salter is a veteran guy, and I think Julian Lewis was sick for a couple days, and so it kind of just one of those things where it's like in school. I don't know about you guys, but I'm from California, and during elementary school, and even in high school, really, they had like this campaign where it was like missing 1 or 2 days of school is like missing a week of school. Right. And I feel like it's the same for football, right? You miss 2 days of practice, or you're limited in 2 days of practice, and all of a sudden you're kind of like falling down the depth chart because it's like, hey, we need to decide. And today you didn't have it, or today you weren't there, and Kaidon was there, or Kaidon was balling out, and we didn't get to see you. So there's that. And then also, and this is sort of, I think, the kiss of death on the quarterback battle. The social media team, and I mean, they've posted Juju before, and so I'm not going to pretend like they haven't. The social media team posted Kaidon Salter breaking the team down. And if you don't really know what that phrasing means, is practice is over. So, or practice may have just been starting. I don't remember what it was. But Kaidon Salter is in the middle, gassing up everybody. Talking about our goals. We want to make it to the Big 12 championship, and that's got to start at practice. We have to get out here every day and eat every day. You see your mom leaving your house when you had to go to school in the morning at 6, okay, for times like that, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's gassing the team up, right? One, I don't think you get to give that speech if you're not the starter, or at least probably going to win the starting job. And two, and this is very much how college football social media teams run, you don't get posted like that if you're the starter, right? Tennessee the other day, they posted a video actually of Colton Hood making a tremendous interception, which makes me think that Colorado's going to miss him even more. It was like a diving interception, something like that. And they blurred out the quarterback, right? Because one, I think fans have evolved these days where social media videos, like it used to just be like, oh, cool, they posted, I don't know, like Kaidon Salter throwing a pass to Sincere Brown. But now it's like, okay, I'm going to pause this video. And I do the same thing, right? Colorado's an interesting team to cover because the media doesn't get to be there firsthand all the time, right? So you pause the video and you go, okay, let's look around. Well, Jordan Seaton's at left tackle here. Well, we know Jordan Seaton's going to start for sure. So we go, okay, Jordan Seaton's at left tackle. Xavier Hill's at left guard. So-and-so's at center, right guard, right tackle. And you look at receiver and it's like, okay, well, this is obviously the starting lineup. Well, they had Colton Hood versus whatever receiver, but they blurred out the quarterback because they know that people are like looking into it. They know like, hey, if we post a quarterback throwing a pick with the ones, and it's like, okay, we don't trust that guy or whatever. Like, that's just how irrational college football fans have become. And I love that, first of all, but it's just one of those things where it's like, there is so much going on that they have to be careful. Like, social media teams can't make mistakes. It's really a thankless job, right? You're in charge of connecting your fan base to your program, but you're also in charge of hiding secrets or hiding personnel battles, right? If a coach doesn't want the quarterback battle to be known, right, they're not going to post any quarterback content, or they'll post the guys throwing at the exact same time. You can't go Kaidon Salter video, Julian Lewis video, because it's like, well, you posted Kaidon Salter first. So I think this is a sign that the battle is done. I've been pretty confident that Kaidon Salter is going to win the job, and we'll be waiting for an announcement as the game gets closer. But if I had to take an educated guess, I would say that Kaidon Salter has won the job. When we come back, I think the Nebraska-Colorado rivalry is dead until further notice, and I'll explain why. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So like, subscribe, follow. We're going to have some really cool content this year. I'm going to be cooking some things up for you guys, and I really hope you guys don't want to miss it. But let's talk Colorado, Nebraska. We've seen them play each of the past 2 years. Colorado blew them out in 2023. Nebraska got the best of Colorado this year, blew them out. It wasn't really a close game, honestly. And then all of a sudden the rivalry ends. And it's like, why are we not preserving rivalries? Even though they're not conference rivalries, they played dating back to the Big 8, which was what the Big 12 used to be. But at the end of the day, this is what Nebraska's athletic director, Tony Dannon, had to say about the situation. A couple things. With the exception of what we did with Tennessee as it relates to football schedule, the schedule's here, and I haven't really touched it. It's virtually complete through 2032. I think Arizona is 2028 and 31 in a home. I don't know which is which. Oklahoma's 29-30, home and home. And then they have Oklahoma State. He also said a perfect schedule today until the college football looks different. You need to schedule this way or the Big Ten does something different, is a home and home against an A4 by a G6 and an FCS. So you want a P4 team, not A4, a P4 team, and then a G6 group of 6 team, and then an FCS program, right? So basically, you're working with one P4 spot with these non-conference games, and you already have them scheduled out. And it's like one of those things where I don't think people were expecting college football to shift like this. Like the schedule, like 2030 schedule was probably made in 2018, and it's like, okay, well, in 2018 we were a 4-team playoff. We haven't even mustered the thought of expanding to a 12-teamer. we haven't even had COVID yet, right? So it's one of those things where until rivalries are put on the forefront, until there's really, I guess, until the envelope is pressed, like until they physically feel like they have to play a rivalry game, which they won't because the playoff is formatted the way it is. It's like if you don't, Indiana, I mean, they're doing it this year. You play 3 easy games and win out, or maybe lose a game along the way, lose 2 games along the way. You're 10-2, and it's like, okay, well, you're 10-2, so you're in the playoff, right? Why risk it? And so I don't feel like the Colorado-Nebraska rivalry would be united anytime soon. I would love to see it back. I've made the case for it multiple times, but it just doesn't seem like that's the direction it's heading, which I hate that because I think Colorado doesn't have a true rival in the Big 12. Nebraska doesn't have a true rival in the Big 10, and it's like, why are we not? I mean, I don't get it. So I think they should bring back the rivalry, cancel the home and home with a G5, just pay them and be like, hey, sorry, we want to play Colorado. That's what I would love to see. I wish Colorado would do the same, but we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, it's all up to the moneymakers upstairs, and if they don't feel like that's the best thing for them, they won't do it. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and I will see y'all tomorrow.